All right, how's everyone doing? I'm Rich CELENZA. Thanks for tuning in to the Rich CELENZA Show. WTF are you talking about? So, I just got a Starbucks, actually. It's wonderful. I don't even know why I threw that in there. Anyways, so what I want to get into today is something I heard not too long ago, and it was, your vibe attracts your tribe. Right? Or is it your tribe? Yes. So your vibe attracts your tribe. I don't want to screw that up. And what I want to get into today is something that I went through. And if you're younger especially, I really want you to pay attention to this because I think a lot of people blow this. And I definitely blew this for basically, for I don't even know, 3/4 of my life. I always wanted to make films. If you know anything about me, I wanted to make movies since I was a very young man. Even though I was obsessed with sports. So I thought I was going to become either a professional athlete. That didn't work out. Make movies. So as time went on, and on and on and on, I kept talking about making movies. And then even after high school, obviously I didn't become a professional athlete. I became more obsessed with weightlifting. I think I could have had a shot in certain things, maybe not to become a professional. I think I didn't, maybe tennis I had a decent shot at. I was just too small at the time. That would have probably been the one I had the best chance of doing, but I was obsessed with sports for many, many years. I just didn't mature quick enough, especially throughout high school. I've talked about it before. I graduated 138 pounds, 135 pounds, and then after high school, I grew 4 inches and then got up to I got up to 250 pounds, but I was like 220 pounds. I was a machine. So if that would have happened through high school, and I was one of my youngest graduates, things could have been different. But who gives a shit? But now let's fast forward. Now I'm heading into my 30s, and I'm still talking shit about how I'm going to make movies. But I have no idea how to make movies. So back to your vibe and tribe and all this shit, I never surrounded myself with people who knew how to make movies. I surrounded myself with people that were obsessed with movies, and I thought that was enough. I really did. Or I thought I was just going to get around to it. So now I already have one daughter. I was writing screenplays and things, and back then, I'm going back here now, guys. So this is like the late, mid-90s, kind of ish, late 90s in that time zone. So I thought I'd write some scripts, I'd option them, so I'd get an agent in LA, blah, blah, blah. And that never happened. So I still wanted to make this one. I wanted to make a film called Sore Losers about the underground world of gambling in Chicago, and I was always kind of lost. And my uncle, finally, I think we went and, I don't know what the hell we were doing. I was getting ready to make my first feature film. And I was just kind of I didn't know what I was doing. I had no clue. I'm trying to get a cameraman involved. I'm trying to, we didn't have texting really. Email wasn't really even involved then. And I had a screenplay. I'd have to fax it. I was figuring out shooting locations, just doing it all independently. Even though I read tons of books on filmmaking, I didn't know what the frick I was doing at all. So my uncle, I was in the car with him, and I wanted him to play one of the lead characters for my film. My Uncle Tony, he's amazing at it. If you ever have a chance, check out Sore Losers. I got it on YouTube. You just got to put Sore Losers and my name. And he was going to play the mob boss. And we're going back and forth, back and forth. And my uncle used to come and hang out with me in Florida. He knew what kind of lifestyle I led. He came when I was actually even in my early 20s, mid-20s, and then me and my buddies, I went and got the top apartment complex on one of the hottest spots in Orlando, which was right near Universal Studios at that time. And then there was a bunch of people shooting at Universal Studios, including guys from Head of the Class. My neighbor was like a Backstreet Boy, or I don't know, one of these New Kids on the Block was my neighbor. We had some other, a bunch of people there. I'm not even remembering them all, but a lot of celebrity people for Florida lived there at the time. And my uncle would come and visit me and loved it because the jacuzzi parties, and I was involved with vending with my father. So we were in and out of every single nightclub and gentleman's club and all the top restaurants in Florida. And they used to call me the Prince as a joke because my father was named Richard. They'd say King Richard, and he had a bar called King's Row originally. But my uncle would come to town and just, one time, my Uncle Tony, he wasn't leaving. It was hysterical. And my aunt, his wife, called me and said, "Rich, can you do me a favor?" And I said, "Of course, Aunt, I'll do anything for you." And she cuts hair. She's one of the top hair stylists in Chicago for the studios. And my aunt was involved with the film business. Her brother and father were involved. They owned Chicago studio. Yeah, I think that's what it's called. To make a long story short, she goes, yeah, can you send my husband home? And my aunt is the most loving, soft-spoken person. But I never heard her say, like, yeah, get him out of there. And I get it because we were all in our mid-20s, single. Well, I was dating my girlfriend, going to be wife soon. But my buddies, it was a frat house. But my Uncle Tony loved it. I think he felt like it was in his youth. My Uncle Tony's actually old school kind of gambler, Italian, lived a certain type of lifestyle in Cicero in Chicago with a lot of guys and lived a certain lifestyle when he was younger. And now he's all of a sudden reliving it. Now he's in his 50s because I think my uncle's going on 80 now. We just went to Italy together not long ago. But now he's kind of reliving it with us. I'm just kind of giving you some funny backstory with him. And what started to happen was not only did he start living my lifestyle with us, which he did some crazy funny stuff together. We even had him in a jacuzzi one time for an hour and a half drinking wine. And he couldn't even move for 2 days after that, which was hysterical in itself. But my uncle started to cook for all the guys. And now my uncle, supposedly, and there's like 180 family members, says he has the best sauce. And not a lot of people know this, but he started mastering the sauce when he was cooking for all the guys. All my buddies were Italian. I hung out with my buddies from Chicago. My cousins were in from Chicago. And then I hung out with a bunch of New York guys that were all Italian. And some of these guys even owned Italian restaurants. But we would all hang at my house. We'd have parties or get-togethers. Even my mother and grandmother would come there and have a blast. But my Uncle Tony, back to him, said to me, and he was always so blunt and honest, he's like, Rich, I never met anybody who wanted to make movies so bad, but never put himself in a position to meet anybody who makes movies or successful movies. Because my aunt, his wife, like I said, they were involved with the movie business. But I almost was so arrogant that I was always like, I don't need that. I'll just make my own damn movies, which was ridiculous. I should have... Even though I did it, that shows how nuts I am, that I thought I could, just on my first film, just go do it without any knowledge really whatsoever, except reading books. I read Movie Maker magazine, was kind of like my film school. So I talk about that all the time. My film school was Movie Maker magazine, and the editor-in-chief is a great guy from there. It was a friend of mine. I love that guy because he knew I was such a big fan of the magazine. Then I ended up being included in a few episodes. Then I ended up seeing him in LA, and he's a great guy. So we're friends on Facebook and so on. Let me get some water. So back to the tribe. If you really want to succeed sometimes and make something successful, I'm not saying my film wasn't successful. Truth is, it was just an underground, independent mockumentary film. I kind of got out of it what I thought I'd get out of it. I know I'm not making some Hollywood film or any of that shit. And even on my second film, I knew what I'd get out of it. I wasn't really that unrealistic as far as expectation goes. I'm kind of a realist with that shit. A lot of people, I think, are going to make films, or they're going to do something like open a business, and in 5 years, I'm going to be the next Amazon, I'm going to be Google, or I'm going to be, which God bless you if you do, I'm going to be Apple. Hey, I'm down with you. You got to be a big dreamer. I'm obsessed with creating things. So I 100% agree with that and aiming for the top. That's not what I'm saying here. But back to surrounding yourself with the right people. Being around the right people, what you really learn is what not to do, I said a lot of times. I think a lot of times we look at people and say, oh, I want to be around him because he'll teach me to be, like him. Because I'll just use something more general. So I have a lot of friends in real estate, even locally. And a lot of them will start hanging out with people, which they should in real estate, and think they're going to become like some of the big dogs or like they're selling. And the truth is they don't a lot of times. One is you got to realize a lot of the people that do really well, they're hard workers and they're smart and they're successful. Not saying you're not, but the good thing is they're learning from them, but they're only kind of looking at like, how are they marketing, right? How are they posting things, right? How are they doing this? And then they kind of emulate them, and it doesn't work for them as well. And I think what a lot of people should do is learn from their mistakes. What are they not doing that keeps making them succeed? Where are they not spending like money where others are losing money, if that makes sense? Because a lot of times, especially with marketing certain things or creating certain things, and I am the king of losing money creating shit. So I know this. But anybody who knows me, I always, when they come to me and say, Rich, if I succeeded, I will definitely tell you how I succeeded. But I'm definitely going to tell you all the pitfalls I went through and what to look out for. And I don't think people a lot of times want to ask those questions because they're scared. Or a lot of mentors and coaches, I think a lot of times, they do want to help people. And it's all about succeeding and do this and do that. And, you know what I mean, network, and we got to do that, and all these things. A lot of times they don't get into all the failures they had leading up into that point, right? And I'm not saying all coaches and all of them do that, but a lot of them I think are embarrassed. And I'm just so, I guess I have enough confidence to say, hey, I blew this. Oh my God, why would I spend money there? Because someone could tell you something. I forgot if it was my father or somebody. Someone could tell you one thing in your life that could save you 10 years. Like really, like an experience or where not to spend money or how to do something correctly. You're like, oh my God. Or somebody that's done something for 20, 30 years. If you get the correct information from them, think about how that works. And you can read this, and most people are just lazy. You can read tons of things on how people have failed and prospered, and especially biographies and all these different things, but people are lazy. And I get sometimes you think people, hey, this is, like if you go back to even Steve Jobs when he started or somebody, it could be anybody. You go, oh, well, that was back in the 80s, or they started back in the 70s, or that was then, this is now. I need people now to tell me, or like it's changed, which it has. But I can assure you a lot of things, if you go back, just common sense things, it's unbelievable what you can learn. And again, back to the tribe, you really want to surround yourself, I think, with not only successful people that have succeeded in businesses, because obviously those are the driving force, but people too that have gone into business and that have failed. You really want to understand why they failed, because you can always kind of see how people succeed. But sometimes, it's like a history lesson. You get both sides of it. Sometimes, a lot of times, somebody failed and it wasn't because necessarily they weren't creating something that wasn't great. They could have gone through a bad divorce. They could have got sick. They could have had a split in partnerships. All these different types of things. So if you hear some wind in the backdrop, it's just very windy right now. I'm actually in a very area where it's just cold and windy off the windows here. But yeah, you definitely, again, you don't want to just surround yourself. I get everybody's like, surround yourself with the winners. Well, if you took only winners, hypothetically, even the NBA, say Charles Barkley or the Mailman or Stockton, they never won titles. They're amazing basketball players. I can assure you, if you talk to them, they're amazing at what they did just because they didn't win titles. Look at everything else that led them to where they got. And again, back to the learning the tribe thing. If you surround yourself with a lot of people that really want the best for you and I believe have good habits. And I get we all kind of have bad habits to a certain degree. But I see a lot of people that have become friends with a lot of wealthy people. But a lot of those wealthy people sometimes have bad habits. That could be drinking, drugs, alcohol, womanizing, whatever the case may be. And sometimes people get wrapped up with their lifestyles. They're not in a situation where they should even they're wealthy, the ones are getting wrapped up, and they're not wealthy. So the next thing you know, you're spending money on certain things, you're getting wrapped up in their lifestyle, and guess who's broke now, right? For them, they've already made their wealth. They may be way ahead of the game. You're not. But again, back to habits, right? And again, even the ones that failed, figure out what their habits were that helped them, and obviously what could have failed them, because a lot of people could, as you know, could have became much more successful than they are. And that goes for a lot of, I believe, artists. A lot of them, obviously, some even commit suicide, but a lot become addicted to many different things. I'm not saying that if they didn't become addicted, that they wouldn't have blown up. And I'm not even saying if they, a lot of artists do drugs and they make incredible music. They can act incredible. They can write. They can do different things. And I'm not here to condemn anybody. But if you, for instance, have maybe past problems, or if you've had addiction issues yourself, you just might want to be aware of that, because just because you're around successful people doesn't always mean that they have the best intention for you or you getting wrapped up in their lifestyle. Because and that could even be like, say you want to be a stockbroker. Obviously you got to go where they're doing that, or you could do it online too. But a lot of times, a lot of my buddies that worked at the Merc or at the Board of Trade in Chicago, and even New York stock market guys I've met over the years, a lot have succeeded. Tons have failed, right? But the thing is, I gotta say they had the balls to put themselves in those environments to really do it, right? And that's a good thing, I think. And it's not just about being around these people and getting around the right tribe. It's about the adventure you're going to take with them, right? That's really what life's about. I always say it's about the adventure, man. When you die, when they throw the dirt on you, what was the adventure? Like, you can be a billionaire but live a miserable life, or you could be somebody who's just kind of just average that lives an exceptional life. It's just kind of what you put your mind to and what you want out of it. But I think, again, with the tribe thing, it's personal. So I think you have to find the right people in the I guess you could say, and I talk about this in my Mastering Self-Confidence program regarding women. A lot of guys first got to figure out what type of woman they want. And I think a lot of men and women don't know exactly what they want. So they never put themselves in the right place at the right time, because they don't really say, you know what, I'm going to do this now. I want to be this. So I've got to go out and find people that are going to teach me this, the good, the bad, the ugly. I'm going to surround myself, engulf myself with it. It's very similar to the law of attraction. I don't know if you ever heard my law of attraction thing. It's not about attracting, it's about attacking, I call it. It's a reverse. I got to do another podcast on that. But if you want things in your life, do not think sitting around waiting for them to come is always going to be the answer. What you need to really figure out is, I'm going to attack what I want, put myself in the position around the people and whatever I'm wanting to do, and then obviously it will start magnetizing towards me and has no other choice. So if I want to be a coach of a high school football team, hypothetically, but I never learn how to coach or even do grade school Pop Warner, and I sit at home and I play Madden all day, that's most likely not going to happen. But if I start learning how to coach, I start on the bottom, or even I go assist, I don't care what it is, you get there, you get around these kids, you start teaching, you're learning from other coaches, you're engulfed in it. Before you know it, of course that's going to start attracting to you. You can't step outside of it and think that it's like they're going to come and grab you sitting in your house. That's ridiculous. So anyways, if you want to do anything for yourself, learn again. Try to always, and I speak about this all the time, my Uncle Frank used to tell me, it's about putting yourself out there and finding, putting yourself where you really feel you belong at that point in time. And things may change. One minute you may think you want to be a coach. The next minute you may want to be a referee. The next minute you may want to be an owner. I'm just using for an example, right? You be open-minded to maneuver, but keep putting yourselves in that environment. Because when you're in that environment, all you're doing is absorbing like a sponge everything that's going on. It's easy for a lot of people to be outside of it and saying, oh, I know it. I wish I was in there. It would be great. But I'm going to wait and see how things go. I'm going to wait and see and wait. And maybe it'll come to me, or whatever you're thinking. Don't. Just go attack it. You've got nothing to lose by attacking what you want, if you think about it. What is the worst case scenario? You get rejected. You get rejected. You get rejected. That's fine. You keep going. Eventually something. I always say no. You're saying yes. I really believe that. No means next. No, next. No, next. And when I hear no, I'm thinking yes a lot of times. They're like, Rich, you can't do this. I'm like, well, I can do it. You just couldn't do it, or you don't think I can do it. Or someone told you couldn't do it, right? So now you think I can't do it. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. If you put your mind to something that you really want to do, it just may take a lot longer than you think, I think a lot of times. And it may take a lot more learning. And that's the one thing, I even did that on a podcast. Learn as much as you can about the things you're interested in. Most people want to take a shortcut. They either want to watch some videos real quick or some documentaries, hypothetically, or like I did. I took a shortcut to a certain degree, learning how to make a film. I mean, I read tons and tons of books over the years and magazines, but I really should have went and worked as an assistant in some way or another, or even tried to work my way as an extra, hypothetically. And I had family members in the industry. I could have did that, but I was too arrogant and too much of an asshole. So it's learning, and how much, a lot of times you may be like, I'm going to make a movie in 5 years. Well, it may take 10, it may take 15, it may take 20, it may take a year. I don't know. My point being is, a lot of times what we think, we want to accomplish takes a lot longer than that. And hopefully if you do get around smart, intelligent people again, they're going to help you progress even faster, as long as you're cool. And don't ever forget, always be helpful. I'm telling you right now, be as helpful as you can to anyone you can, because you're going to see them on the way up, and guess what? You're going to most likely see them on the way back down. So I'm going to wrap it up there. Hopefully you got something out of this. Please try to surround yourself with good people. And I don't care don't get caught up too, like if you're Christian, you can only hang out with Christian people, or if you're a Jehovah's Witness, I can only hang with Jehovah's Witness, and all this stuff. I understand a lot of people feel more comfortable around those type of people, but you need to sometimes be more open-minded and say, you know what, All right, I'm a Mormon hypothetically. I want to make movies, but I don't know any Mormons that make movies around here, but I do know there's a school around here, or I know these guys that make movies and they party. Listen, just accept them for who they are, and they'll most likely accept you for who you are. I could tell you. Stop judging everybody. So I think that's what paralyzes so many people, because you immediately judge them regarding, I have friends that smoke weed still, do coke still, take pills still, all these things. That doesn't mean they're ever going to make me do it. I'm not going to do those things. And if I did want to do them, I'm going to do them. But they still are incredible human beings. And a lot of them are very helpful and accomplish a lot. So don't let that stop you, all right? I get a lot of, now if you have somebody out there that's breaking the law and things in that nature, well, I just said cocaine, which is actually against the law. That wasn't a good example, was it? Anyways, I get if I'm a little different, so give me the pass on that one. It was just my environment my whole life. But in your case, obviously, you don't want to be in a position where people are breaking the law. I'm just saying, they put you in a position where you're involved with them breaking the law, like you go to their house and they have coke on the table and then the police bust in and you get busted. I'm not asking you to do that. What I'm asking you to do is, if you do know friends that do drugs or whatever, you can meet with them at a Starbucks, or you can meet with them in different, environments where you still could learn from one another, I guess is what I'm saying. Maybe the drugs things was a little extreme. For me, it's no big deal. I don't know. But I could tell you this, most people out there are doing a lot of things that you don't know about, which includes drugs, prostitution, which includes many things that goes for Christians. So to think that you know about a lot of people you think that are bad aren't that bad. And a lot of people that you think are good are not that good. So don't be a dummy regarding that. All right, I'm going to wrap it up there. I wish you guys nothing but the best, but you can actually, before I get off this, I always forget, if you get a chance, check out my YouTube channel. If you can, subscribe to it. I always forget to mention that. I'm always putting up videos regarding my Mastering Self-Confidence program, gyms that I visit, Italian restaurants, things related to hygiene, fashion, how to shop affordably as far as clothes and accessories. Yeah, obviously I have this podcast. What else? I'm on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. So I'm there as well. And if you want to check out my program, it's masteringselfconfidence.com. And if you want to check out my website, it's richcelenza.com, CELENZA.com. And please leave comments. I don't care if you bum rat me, argue with me, agree with me. I love it all. I love it all. All right? All right, take care. And if you're traveling, safe travels.